Welcome to another episode of the Self-Storage Insight Podcast. Today I'm joined by Tyler Scherer with True Steel Buildings, and super excited to have you on the show with me today and talk about constructing a new facility and what all goes into that. And so Tyler's been in the industry for a few years now and with True Steel Buildings. And so Tyler, if you don't mind, give us a little bit of your background and kind of how you got started.
Yeah, so I started doing the storages in 2012. Started off just as a laborer, working on a crew, building the storage facilities all over the United States. And I worked my way up to running a crew, ran a crew for a little over 8 years, non-climate, climate controlled buildings, conversions, 2 stories, 3 stories, boat and RV buildings. And now more of project manager, just go around, check on jobs, make sure everything's going well, the owners are happy.
Okay. So with True Steel Buildings, do you travel nationwide, or are you pretty much just assigned to a region, or how does that work?
Yep, just depends. Could be in Florida tomorrow, next week Kentucky, Ohio, just wherever need to go and wherever our jobs are at.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, with your background then, and on the construction side of it, what are maybe a couple of common mistakes that you see, or some things that that people should watch out for as you're planning a new build construction, of a facility? What are some areas that you see that people make a lot of mistakes in?
I'd say excavating's the big one. Whether you got to take a lot of dirt out, or if you got to bring dirt in to build the ground up, or whatever the case may be. Drainage for water, where your retention pond's going to go, all that good stuff. You want to make sure your engineer does a good job with that. I would say definitely access and drives, getting in the facility, getting around buildings is a big one. Obviously you got to do your approvals, all that with your township zoning, feasibility study, your due diligence, all that good stuff. And, pretty much, the biggest thing for me is making sure you're ready for us. So when building's delivered, your concrete pads are already done. You got gravel drives, and typically a lot of people, they do blacktop drives. So try to tell them, you can do your first layer, that's fine, but do the final touch when we're gone, because driving the telehandler on there, it will tear it up. And obviously,
right, bringing equipment in for sure.
Yeah, we don't want no one upset. So.
Right. So kind of walk me through, maybe let's just walk through kind of a new construction process. Let's say, for just an example, I just purchased some property and I'm looking to build a facility on it. At what point do I want to reach out to you guys, as far as, I did look through your website a little bit. I know you guys do a little bit of the help with, planning the building plan,
Yep.
that sort of thing.
Yep.
And so at what point do I want to reach out to you guys, maybe as far as to get you involved in the project?
Yeah, so if you don't already have a site layout, we do have a guy in-house who does that. But first, you're going to want to get approval from your township. There's going to be meetings involved to make sure you can, build there, all that good stuff. You want to make sure that's, you're approved first.
Right.
Feasibility study, due diligence, all that. Then after that process, which is probably going to take a couple months, and they give you the green light. So now you got to get excavating involved, concrete. So typically when they start pushing dirt, you'll get a hold of us. We will get you numbers, because as of right now, we can have buildings set in the ground in 8 weeks.
Okay. Oh, wow. Yeah, that seems pretty quick as far as a turnaround from
Yeah.
So you've been doing this for a while now. Let me ask you this, maybe what were some of the challenges you saw over the last couple of years? I know I was doing some construction through COVID. And so we ran into all types of material shortages. Does it seem like that's pretty much all completely behind us now with the steel manufacturing?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, COVID messed a lot of things up, but now it
Yeah.
seems to be getting back on track. And, I really don't see it slowing down anytime soon. Like I said, I started doing this when I was 18 and I'm 31, and we were always working 50, 60 hours a week, even in the winter. So
have you seen a slowdown at all over the last maybe like 18 months or so, since interest rates started to spike, or has that not seemed to have played a big part into the new construction facilities?
I would say it depends on who you ask. I mean, we stay busy, selling the jobs. But I know interest rates obviously affect a lot of people.
Yeah, I wasn't sure from your side of the business if you had noticed any, any slowdown or anything from that with a dip in new construction. So yeah.
Like, and a lot of our new construction is, like right now, I'd say about 50% non-climate, a little bit of climate control, but lately what's really been the big thing is, people want boat and RV buildings, canopy
Mm.
buildings, airplane hangars. Those are becoming very, very popular.
Right. Yeah, I have noticed too. I mean, even with our business, I have a self-storage property management software. And so
Okay.
we have just noticed a huge uptick in RV and boat storage and the amount of leads that come
Oh
in
yeah.
that are just doing boat and RV. It's actually, I mean, it's been wild over the last couple months to see how fast it seems like that's grabbing on and gaining
Oh yeah.
traction.
Yeah, I would say the past 4 to 6 months, boat and RV, just the canopies, roof only to park under those. Those are definitely becoming very, very popular.
Yeah, I even saw some of your builds. I do follow some of your stuff on Facebook. I'm in some groups that we're in together and stuff. And
Okay.
so I did want to kind of give you a shout out on some of the review stuff that I saw because I saw somebody the other day in one of the groups that I'm in posted and asked, has anybody worked with True Steel Buildings and how was your experience? I mean, it was nothing but good feedback from at least
Yep.
the amount of comments that I read. So it's
Yeah.
always nice to see that from another company. You guys seem like you're doing quality work and getting a lot of good feedback on that side of it. So
Oh yeah, yeah. We you know, here at True Steel, communication's huge for us. We always, get a lot of customers who have dealt with other manufacturing companies in the past, and my sales guy never answers. So
mhm.
when they call, we know they're not calling to say, hey, obviously they got a question or something may be wrong, or hey, I want to add some more buildings. So, and
Right.
like I said, we try to get out on every job that we do sell just to introduce ourselves, and they got questions or want to make changes to unit sizes, and get all that stuff handled right there in the beginning.
Right. Now, how big of a role does your company play in that? Like as far as um, making adjustments to building layouts? If somebody comes to you with a layout, do you make recommendations on changes or do you pretty much just let them put it wherever they want?
Let's say 30 by 200, one side 10 by 10 units, the other side 10 by 20s. That divider wall, you can move that divider wall within about 6 minutes. So
Okay.
let's just say they got all 10 by 10s, all 10 by 20s. We get there. Well, maybe the owner now he wants a couple 10 by 15s, or maybe he wants a couple 10 by 30s left open. So we'll just go through on the print with the marker and change wherever he wants that wall to go. I mean, that's an easy,
Mhm.
simple fix.
Okay. So and then long term it makes it pretty easy as far as to make adjustments too if there is a
Oh
change in the
yeah.
market and you see that one unit type's doing better than
Yep.
another. And so having a building like that is actually really important I think too as far as the long term of running your business.
Yeah. So actually, I got a customer right now. He's got 6 buildings, and on 2 of the buildings, we're gonna leave all the divider walls out. He's gonna see what his most popular sizes are. Then once they start running, we'll go back and we'll throw those walls in for him.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, and I just know from my construction experience and have been in building, like a lot of times the property owner doesn't even really know for sure what they want until they see
Right.
stuff start happening, and so
Yep.
uh, you can end up with a lot of changes pretty quickly. And so that kind of just bodes back to the whole customer service thing. Being able
Right.
to communicate well with property owners as they're trying to make up their mind is very important. So what would you say one of the benefits maybe as far as just with your business would be to going with somebody like True Steel Buildings versus a local contractor that just puts up metal buildings in a local area? What kind of advantages does a bigger company like yours have?
Yeah. So I mean, obviously, we can supply you the buildings. We can also supply the erectors as well. Where a lot of companies, also they can only supply the building. So then you have to go out and find someone to build it, and maybe you might know a guy who can build a house, but he doesn't know how to build a mini storage. I mean, I can build a mini storage, but I couldn't go build you a house. I mean, you know what you know. So
Right.
obviously, one stop and shop. We can do the material labor. We can do in-house site plans. We don't so much do any of the concrete or excavating. So projects, like we do get people say, "Hey, can you price concrete?" If
Mhm.
which we have people who do concrete, which obviously I tell everybody it's going to be more expensive because they got to travel out of town, they got to pay for hotels.
Right.
But when we do that, I typically tell them the project's got to be at least over 30,000 square feet. I mean, it's got
Okay.
to be worth their time to go out
Right.
of state to do the concrete to have a competitive bid against someone local.
Okay. And you said you don't do any of the excavating, and I'm assuming that would include like
No,
the fences, gate access, that sort of thing. Do you do that as well or no?
nope, nope. Strictly just us. We supply the buildings, and then the erectors to come in and build. So electrical, that's done by others. Concrete, excavating. Um, HVAC, blacktop, all that stuff.
Okay. And you said a little bit ago, I think you said, 50% of your buildings are just standard buildings versus climate control and other
Yeah,
things like that. Has that changed a lot over the last few years, or has it been pretty standard that way?
I would say it's changed. Especially right now, like I said, the boat and RV and the canopies, we're getting 15 to 20 of those every other day. That's what people are wanting. Getting a little bit of climate controls, a little bit of 3-story buildings, not a whole lot, a couple of those. And then your typical 30 by 200s, 40 by 200s. I mean, those are your most popular sizes, money wise, buying a building and also renting them out.
Right. So let me ask you this question. This is a little bit of maybe it's information that you'd have to get a quote for. But I was looking at the one picture of the boat storage that you guys did where it was just stacked boats like 4
Oh
levels high,
yeah,
4 tiers
yeah,
high.
yep.
What are some of the benefits to doing something like that? As far as I know, obviously you're going to save space and stuff, but how much cheaper is it to get that type of structure, put together versus a single layer with a lot more coverage of roof area?
I would say
And I know I put you on the spot there.
no. I want to say for that one ballpark, I think material and labor that was right around $16 a square foot. On a lot of these podcasts, everybody, oh, it's a ballpark price, and it's so hard because I might have a guy in Michigan, he might be $13 a square foot for material and labor, versus I might have a guy out in New York
Mhm.
where depending on snow load and the gauge
Right.
of the steel, he might be 1575.
Right. So yeah, there's a lot of variation there based
Oh
on
yeah,
where you're at for sure. Yeah.
absolutely.
As far as your buildings, do you have different prints, different standards that you have to meet for different codes based
Oh
on
yeah, oh
on all
yeah.
the different locations you work?
Yup. They're all different. We got to go off the wind load, the snow load. Every town, state, and city, they're all different.
Right. And I mean, I know even just in my area, an hour from me in more of a metro area to build
Yep.
over there costs double or triple in permits and zoning and all of
Oh yeah.
that stuff versus, in my local area. And it's crazy how much of a difference that can make. So yeah,
Oh
definitely
yeah.
do your homework
Absolutely.
before you get started for
Yeah.
sure. So yeah, some of
Absolutely.
them code officials can make every job a nightmare.
Yep. And even another popular one that's we've been selling a lot of lately is the conversions. People buying older warehouses or grocery stores and going in there, gutting them and putting the units on the inside.
When you
The
run into that type of project, how does that kind of work as far as do you end up residing the outside or do you normally let the outside alone, you just partition the inside?
Yeah, so it just kind of depends on what the owner wants. A lot of times, like when people buy, let's say, like an old Kroger or grocery store, normally the outside's all brick, so they might come in, paint it up, big old sign out there, indoor self storage. Then we'll go inside, and if there's any demo that needs done, they will have someone do that. Then we'll go and get measurements, get them a layout. Normally got to tweak it a couple times till
Right.
find something they like, and then get material ordered and go in there and start building.
So question on that would be like, what's the timeline process on that? I know you said you can erect a new building in, a couple of weeks. Does it seem like it's a lot longer as far as for a conversion than it is for a new build?
Oh no, you can build those so much quicker. I mean, you don't have rain affecting you, whether you're working inside. I mean, you can work 10, 12 hour days. Yeah, those typically a good 4-man crew on a conversion, about 1,000, 1,200 square feet a day.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. And like a typical, 30 by 200, 4 to 5 guys, weather permitting, 9 hours a day, 4 to 5 days to erect.
Now with a conversion like that, the system that you guys build or the way that you build it, is it still pretty flexible as far as changing unit sizes down the road when you work with them on the layout? Do you try to keep some flexibility there, or is it a lot more of a standard layout then?
Yeah, that one's more strict just because there's a lot that goes into it with, your fencing up top and all of
Right.
your angles. But I mean the divider wall you can still move, but yeah, those. And it also just depends on the layout because some conversions, they got a bunch of jogs in them and they're just really goofy. So
Mhm.
that's why finalizing those are pretty crucial. Same as a climate controlled building.
Yeah, the one thing I always felt like too, as far as with conversions is, doing a little more homework on the front end, making sure the building's going to convert nicely and you're not going to run into a bunch of, step ups, changes in the
Yep.
layout on the inside. There's a lot that can go into a conversion that you can miss really quickly that actually plays a big part into how the conversion goes. So.
Oh yeah, and you obviously want to maximize, the square feet, the best you can. So typically hallways 5 feet. I've seen some hallways, 8 feet, which that's just what the guy wanted. He wanted wider hallways so people weren't scratching his panels and doors.
Mhm.
But 5 feet wide, that's most common.
Yeah, and I mean that kind of stuff's good to know too, as far as if you're planning out, how wide do you typically
Oh
want
yeah.
access? Because you end up making a 4 foot wide hallway, and then nobody
Right.
nobody can get their
Yeah,
stuff around the
right.
corners.
And I mean, we've even done 2-story conversions. Go in there,
Okay,
build, put the decking on top, concrete guys come in, pour concrete, start building again. But then, you're getting fancy with those. You got to have stairwells in there, elevators, all that good stuff. But we've
right.
done
So
them.
so with the conversion, is the getting a quote part kind of the same? If you can kind of give me a little information, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, how do they get a hold of you? How would they get started with getting a quote for a conversion or a new build?
Just go to truesteelbuildings.com. The phone office number's on there. We got 5, 6 sales guys in house. One of them will answer. They'll get some information from them. And typical, let's just say someone wants a price for a 30 by 200. I mean, they can get a price on that less than a
Mhm.
half hour. I mean, it's a
Right.
couple buttons on a computer. Unless I'm doing it, which I don't touch the computer because we just don't me and technology just don't get along. But
Awesome.
okay.
Well, hey, based on your experience and how you've seen the industry change over the last couple of years, what do you think the next couple of years looks like for self storage?
I think the next, I'd say 8 to 10 years is going to be big. I think you're going to see a lot of people buying older rundown facilities, give them new facelifts. If they got room to expand, expand in 20 to 30,000 square feet. And I feel like there's going to be a lot of people buying and selling. And, like
Mhm.
right now, I post new sites on Facebook, hey, new job starting here. And people message me, hey, is it for sale? Well, the
Yeah.
way I look at it, everything's for sale for the right price. You know what I mean? And I think
Right.
it's going to be next 10 years. It's going to really be booming.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think there's still a good, even with the market kind of dipping a little bit,
Yeah,
I think that we're still in a really good spot for the foreseeable
absolutely.
future. And I think that window's going to close too. So I think if you're interested in getting into it, get into it now and
Yep.
deal with kind of the high interest rates right now. I'm not sure what your take on that is. We'll see what the election year. I'm always a little bit cautious with not
Yep.
sure what to expect in an election year with the market and stuff, but we'll see
Right.
what happens. So hoping that it can't be worse than 2020, right?
Let's hope
So
so.
yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, Tyler, appreciate you being on here with me. Is there anything else that you want to share before we kind of wrap this one up? So
If you want to get in the storage game, I mean, do your research. Really, that's the best thing I could tell you. It's a lot of work involved. Like getting approved. Can I build here? What's population like around this area? What's it going to be like in 5 years? It's really do your homework.
and yeah, and one thing I would add to that too is if you are interested in getting into storage, get into some of these groups on social media and
Yep.
you can ask all kinds of questions. I mean, sometimes I almost get frustrated with the questions that come through because I'm like, man, these people ask the same question every week.
You're right. Yep.
Like you could look back and see, but there is a ton of good information that comes out of those groups. There's a lot of experienced
Oh
people
yeah.
in there that will share information and are looking to help other people as they get started. So well, hey, I appreciate your time today. Thanks for talking with me, and look forward to talking to you again in the future here sometime. So,
Yes, absolutely. Perfect, Ben. I appreciate it.
this podcast episode was brought to you by CC Storage. CC Storage is a property management software that helps you pass the fees of credit card processing onto your customers so you don't pay credit card processing fees ever again. If you enjoyed the podcast, there's a link below where you can fill out a form and be interviewed on the podcast with myself. If that interests you, please click the link below and we'll be in touch. We hope you enjoyed this podcast episode. Don't forget to check back next week for another interview with another self-storage property owner.